Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Monday, the 11th day of November, 2024, Monday of the 32nd week of the year. The 32nd week in Ordinary Time is also the day in which we honor St. Martin of Tours, the patron saint of France, one of the patron saints also of St. Francis of Assisi, and it is also today Veterans Day, so saluting all of our veterans. Again, Veterans Day salutes our military people who are living currently, and then Memorial Day always celebrates our military people who have deceased, who have gone on to God. So both brackets covering our military brothers and sisters. Martin of Tours, again, patron saint of St. Francis, someone whose model of life, who himself was a soldier, leaving his military life after an encounter with a poor man, was it a leper, was it not, to whom he gave a cloak, and the poor man, or the leper, basically said, now even greater things will be given to you, because more so than any military honors. And he goes on to become a bishop of the city of Tours in France, and becomes a great proponent for trying to lead this life as a believer in as authentic way as possible. There are similarities again between with Martin of Tours seems to have encountered with this leper or poor man, and the way in which St. Francis seems to have encountered a leper or a poor man. Are they the same? Are they not? Was one written later than the other? Can it happen twice? Of course it can. So all these other kinds of things that are often mentioned. It is moving into late afternoon for all of you at St. Francis on the East Coast, because I am in Phoenix, Arizona, and because there's a friar meeting today in preparation for this great synod that we're going to have in January. The problem was that the retreat house that the meeting is going to happen at today was not open when I landed, so I had no other recourse but to get a hotel room by the airport. You can probably hear the airplanes. This is not in the backyard of St. Francis, of the rectory and friary in St. Francis. This is at the airport hotel in Phoenix. So all things happen for good, I hope. So it's not bad. It's not bad. It's a very nice little courtyard over there, a little pool. Today, in which we honor Martin of Tours, again, there are such separate readings for him if we want them, but we move from the letter to the Philippians now to the letter to Titus. There are three pastoral epistles, they're called, two to a guy named Timothy, one to a guy named Titus. Both of them are honored on a feast day, which day I cannot remember, but both of them are honored together. They did not work together, but they cover the same ideas that Paul wanted to cover in these letters. And that is basically talking about church administration. Now, why does Paul get involved in church administration? Because this becomes a very kind of tricky sort of thing, as to who is going to run the church, who's going to take care of the church, who's going to look after things, these kinds of things like that. But it becomes a concern for Paul, especially because the Christian communities begin to grow and begin to become more noticeable and begin to attract many kinds of people. So how to govern all of this becomes Paul's concern. And so Timothy and Titus both seem to be two individuals who are charged with trying to establish some kind of governance, or trying to lead in some kind of way for the people that they are caring for. Was Timothy a bishop or not? Well, this is always a good question, because the three levels of leadership within our church today, to be a bishop, to be a presbyter, a priest, to be a deacon, were just evolving in Paul's time. And it seems that in these letters to Timothy and to Titus, both a presbyter, a priest, and a bishop are the same kind of thing. They just have a little bit of nuance to them. So it isn't what we have today. It isn't what we have today. It isn't what we have today. Remember that, okay? What we have today evolves over centuries, basically millennia, and we get what we get today. But it wasn't this way at the beginning. It wasn't this way with Paul. And so with Titus, he is sent to the island of Crete, which is, again, at the lower part of the Aegean Sea, where it becomes part of the Mediterranean Sea, an island that was a big crossroads, again, of many different cultures and peoples. And so there are many different ideas about what this Christian movement is, it seems, on this island, and many Christians wanting to know what the truth is. And so Paul sends Titus there. There's never any evidence that Paul himself ever went to Crete, but Titus does, and he begins to, again, establish, what needs to be done to make sure that the Christian community's life and value and dignity is ensured on this island of Crete. So the first part of the letter today is basically just this very long-winded introduction of Paul to the people of Crete through Titus, and then basically what Paul is telling Titus to do is to establish presbyters and bishops, both of which, again, seem to be interchangeable people with different kinds of responsibilities, but to establish these among the faithful so that the faith can continue to grow and become a force on this island and in the life of the Cretan people themselves. In the gospel for today, Jesus would get the distinction between sinning and the one who instigates sinning. Again, some people would say there's no difference. Jesus seems to think that there is. People will sin all the time. Sin abounds, he says. But woe to that person who incites sinfulness. The woe to that person who willingly does those things that cause harm and damage to human life and to human society. And again, the whole thing about a millstone around their neck and thrown into the sea. The thing about it is that while those people need to be watched and perhaps guarded against, if they repent, the intent is always to forgive, not to punish, not to put away, not to exclude, not to say you did this, you can no longer be a part of anything, but to begin again and again and again. A very Franciscan principle, always a Franciscan principle of beginning again and again and again. If Jesus says if he comes and asks for forgiveness 7 times you forgive him or her. Again, the whole idea, what makes us different is our ability to move on from what has been hurtful and painful, not to linger in it, not to keep hashing it around again and again and again, but to be able to be people who understand that we are capable of faults, but we are also more capable of love and forgiveness. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God from here in Phoenix. May the Lord give you his peace.